Okay, so good evening. I hope I'm audible. Hello, just one or two people can unmute.
Yes, Hope, you're audible
We
now.
can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So, welcome to another job mentorship session. With us today is Melody Malusi. Maurice, I see a hand is up. Okay, so where was that? With us today is Melody Malusi. She's a cybersecurity prevent engineer working for M-Pesa Africa. She has a background in data protection and has worked also as an application support analyst, among many other things that she's done. So she'll be telling us the vital role of data protection in information security and the kind of career opportunities that can be found in the field of data protection and so on. So I'll give her the chance to go ahead and tell us more about herself, and then let's dive into data protection. So welcome Melody, karibu sana.
Okay, thank you so much, Hope. And thank you, everyone, for honoring the invite. Thank you, Hope, and your team for also considering me and for allowing me to share what I know regarding data protection and information security. So before I put on my camera, or before I have my camera on, I want you to visualize how this so-called melody with the description I'm going to give you, or with the background that melody has. So Melody is a young lady. Am I a girl? Let me call myself a lady. Melody is a young lady. She has a background in business and IT. She did Bachelor of Business Information Technology from Strathmore University. Um, she has experience in the field of cybersecurity as a pre-sales engineer and as a technical account manager. She also has experience in application support, supporting the core banking systems from Stanbic Bank. She also, apologies, she also has experience in, yes, currently she works at M-Pesa Africa as a cyber security prevent. Yes, so mostly we support users with the solutions, cybersecurity solutions that we have managed to deploy. So yes, and she's not that big, neither is she tiny. And she's light. Yes, she's not dark, she's light. So let me give you a second or 2 seconds to just visualize. And then I'm going to put on my camera. And also I'll be sharing my screen so that we go through the slides that I have prepared. So in 1, 2, 3, I hope you have all. I'll be mentioning names randomly. So yes, I want this to be an interactive session. So Frederick Ngaroya, have you visualized this so-called melody? Frederick. Okay, I ambushed you. Let me choose Glory Nkatha. Hey, you guys are leaving.
Hi.
Hi.
For me, I think Melody is not a makeup lady.
Okay.
She's smart.
Oh, thank you.
You don't do glasses.
Okay.
I think let me leave for the others to answer the rest.
Okay. Thank you so much, Glory, for that. I really appreciate. And drum rolls, please. Glory, you are so wrong. Okay, you're just wrong one part. I put on glasses, but yes, makeup, we're trying, we're neither here nor there. So yes, so people, this is Melody Malusi. In case we meet in the streets of Nairobi, please feel free to say hi. Yes, just call me by my name. Don't call me or yes. I hope that was enough or a good icebreaker. So just relax. I'm going to make this session as interactive as possible. So let me share my screen. Yes, Kevin, Lechapai.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Kevin.
You said you worked at Stanbic.
Yes, I worked at Stanbic.
Is it the one that operates also as Standard Bank, or they are two different things?
Okay, so in Kenya, yes, Stanbic and Standard Bank is the same thing, but in Kenya it's referred to as Stanbic Bank. But in other countries, it's also called Standard Bank.
All right, that was my question.
Okay, and then I'd also request that I'll set aside a few minutes towards the end of the session so that I can get to answer your questions. So let us start. Okay, so today's topic is the role of data protection in information security. But before we dive in the role of data protection in information security, we have to first get to understand the different terminologies. So first, what is information security? So information security basically deals with, these are measures that aim to protect any sensitive information from unauthorized activities. These activities include data leakage, unauthorized people accessing the information, etc. And then we also have data protection. Data protection is now the act of safeguarding this. So data protection is a combination of policies, strategies, and also ensuring that those policies and strategies have been implemented to the end. And during this talk, or during this session, I want you to have three things in mind. There's something called CIA triad. So this CIA triad is confidentiality, I is integrity, and A is availability. So for confidentiality, this is, when something is confidential. So when you say data should be confidential, or confidentiality should be applied to data, it's basically it's this data should be treated with utmost privacy. Like not anyone, not just anyone can access this data. Only legitimate people who are authorized to access the data are supposed to access that data. And then integrity. Integrity is this data, as at when you're collecting the data, it should remain untouched when another person tries and access that same data. Like that data should not be altered in any way. That is integrity. And then availability. This data should be available at any time. When someone wants to access it, okay, but again, for all these CIA, for all these terms, the triad CIA, they also have policies that govern. For example, availability, we have policies that govern for how long should this data be available, or for how long should organizations hold this data. And then also, our key focus also will be the Data Protection Act for 2019, which was an act of parliament that gave effect to Article 31 CNT. You can Google Data Protection Act from the Office of the Data Protection Officer, ODPO. Yes, ODPO, the website for Kenya. They have this act you can download, and you can also be going through it during your free time. So in this act, I also want to highlight some terms that have been used. For example, so data controllers, we have data controllers. First, we have data subjects, data controllers, and data processor. So data subject is you, the owner of the data, or when we look at the data, who can we identify, or who can we relate this data to? So a data subject should be, it has to be someone who is alive, who is breathing. Yes. And then a data controller is a data controller can be a body or someone who dictates how the data collected the data that is from the data subjects, how it's to be handled, how it's to be handled. And then the data processors, from the word processing, processor or process, these are the ones who process the data, they analyze, everything entailing processing. So you should also take note of those three terms. I might use them, but I aim not to really go technical during this presentation, for the sake of also those who are not non-IT people. But not to mean if you're not IT or if you don't have a legal background that this is going to be jargon for you. No, it's a field that anyone can venture in, and I'm going to explain much later. And then what is personal data? Personal data, sorry. So personal data is that data which links to someone. For example, it can be, okay, so under personal data, we have types of data. Personal information, like your name is personal information, your height, your name, not your height, your personal, your home address, that can form personal data. Your gender. So for example, if we say Glory is someone's name. She's a lady. The word lady, or the fact that we've identified her through her gender, that's personal information. Race, ethnic, your ethnic, your ethnicity, that is also personal information. And then sensitive personal information is that information which is unique to only you. For example, biometrics. We cannot have the same biometrics. We cannot. And then, okay, we have blood group. Blood group is also sensitive, though people share blood groups, but blood group is also sensitive personal information. Your political party, the political party that you affiliate to is also sensitive personal information. And then you have privileged information. So privileged information is that information which you give based on certain conditions. For example, if you have a case and your lawyer asks you for some details, so the details that you're going to give your lawyer, those are privileged information. And then why do we need to protect data? One, we need to protect data because we need to protect the data subjects. I'm going to give you a very practical example of why we need to protect personal data in Kenya. And then number two, to avoid legal risks. Okay, so companies that hold personal data, there are structures and regulations that have been put in place so that to avoid personal data from breaching. So we need to protect data to also avoid legal risks. Another thing is when, for example, when you hear a big telco, or yes, let me use telcos because they have most of our data, or a hospital. Let me use the hospital. Imagine you go to hospital X, you're tested and all that, and then you come and find your medical history on the internet. Once you find your medical history on the internet, your trust is you'll never go back to that hospital. That is one. So people not going back to that hospital is going to make that hospital decrease in revenue, and therefore, or in the end, they're going to go at losses. So we need to protect data also to increase revenue and to build trust. Another thing as to why we need to protect data is to protect data subjects. How many of you have walked into a building and then the guards at the entrance ask you for your ID, for your phone number, for your full name, for your signature, for those many things that they ask for? And then after a few days, you start getting promotional messages. Oh, we are online. You have won, I don't know how much, or you have been selected. Click this link to access money. And you wonder, where did these people get my phone number? Or worst case scenario is when you find out that your ID has been used to your ID has been used to open, or rather to register other phone numbers, and those who are in possession of those phone numbers are doing fraudulent activities. You get yourself in very messy situations. You can't explain how it's not you who has those SIM cards. So yes, that is, I think, one area that we really need to, but it's there's some debate in it, because if we say we do not want to provide our information at the security officers at the entrance of buildings, again, how will they identify you, or how will they that process needs to be refined, so that we can get a better way of collecting that data. Because, for instance, there's this proposal that if you book an Airbnb, you should also leave your details with, I don't know, is it the caretaker or the one at the gate, and also the one who is the owner of the Airbnb. But then there's also the downside too, or the flip side too, us just giving out our data, yes, to just anyone who is not trained to handle that data. And then we have principles of data privacy. So the first one is lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. So in this is, when I come to you and tell you, Glory, I need your name. I want you to tell me where you live. I want to know your age. I want your phone number. I need your ID. I should tell you why, without hiding anything. So I should come and tell you, Glory, I need ABCD because of ABCD. And I have realized sometimes, like, for instance, when you go to some supermarkets and then you pay with your phone number, and then after some time, they start sending you these promotional and marketing messages, which you did not subscribe to. So that is one area which places now, like the supermarkets, that is one area that they're honestly not doing the right thing, because they were not transparent enough to tell you, okay, once you have paid using M-Pesa, we are going to take your number and we'll be sending you these marketing messages. And then purpose limitation. Purpose limitation is, before you collect that data, ask yourself, okay, like I want to collect data for people, but the purpose for collecting this data is to just know.
Pole, niliona message na hata nilikuwa nasema nitajibu. Masaa masiku ndio hivyo.
Okay, hope kindly mute our...
Yes, I have. Let's join the
Okay.
meeting muted.
Oh, okay, sorry for that. Okay, so for purpose limitation, for example, let me use the scenario of you getting into a building. Really, why do they need our ID? If I am to get into a building, okay, why do you need my phone number? What for? So as much as you want to identify the person,
umetulia tu huku.
as much as you want to, you want to, yes, identify the people who are getting in, but is a phone number necessary? Honestly, we can argue about your ID, but I find phone number not being necessary. So
Just a minute, Melody. What's his name? Joe. If I mute you again, kindly, I'll have to tell you to leave the meeting. Thank you.
okay, Joe, please. Yes. And then, yes, so that is in purpose limitation. Like, if it's for identification of people, then don't go about asking them for their blood group. Don't go asking them for the number of children they have or their tribe, and you just want to collect data regarding them entering a building. Like, always ensure that you stick to the purpose and avoid collecting unnecessary information from people. And then data minimization also, they kind of go hand in hand with the purpose limitation. And then accuracy. So if today I tell you I'm from Kenya, or if today I tell you I'm a mother of one, and then next year I get 2 children, you are supposed to, the entity that has my that has my data, you are supposed to update that to Melody now has 2 children. That is accuracy. And then we have storage limitation. Storage limitation is there is only, okay, you see when you're employed in an organization and then you leave, they're supposed to retain your data for 7 years. After 7 years, they're supposed to discard your data or to delete your data, or is it to archive? So you should also have a window where, yeah, it's 7 years. So storage limitation is there's only you can only have people's data up to a certain time. And then integrity and confidentiality, I had explained at the beginning. And then accountability is when this in the event of something, who is accountable for this, who is accountable for protecting this data, who is accountable for keeping this data safe. And then also always remember we have 3 types of, I don't want to call it data, but the cycle, like cycle of data. So one is data at rest, data at rest, data in transit, and data, nimerust. I can't remember the third one, but data at rest is you should always have measures to protect data that is not moving. Okay, the one that is being stored, let's say in a database. So for example, you might not have technical or systems in soft applications in place to hold this data. So maybe your organization is still doing manual things. So you have this stack of paper somewhere. That is data at rest. So always ensure that this data at rest, there's a way in which you have safeguarded this data. Okay, data in transit. When you are to communicate, or when you are communicating, sending emails, when, for example, you have a website and people are filling in their, or rather users are filling in their details. If it's an e-commerce website and users are filling in their details, then you should ensure that data in transit, the communication, it should be encrypted, that your website has the HTTPS and that padlock icon at the top. Yes, that is part of accountability. You are the one who is supposed to be accountable for all that. And then, so you as a data subject, you have rights. And by rights, I mean, when someone tells you to fill in your details, you have the right to ask that person, why do you need my data? What reason? What are you going to do with my data? But I tried that once and I was given, okay, in Kenya, we say msomo. Hey, it was not a good day. But I just wanted to understand why are you asking me all those things? Why do you want me to leave my data here? Honestly, but it didn't go well. And then, but I have the right to be informed of the use to which my personal data is to be put. And then I also have a right to access my personal data in the custody of the data controller or data processor. I have the right to object you processing all my data or part of my data. So for example, but I am going to show you the limitations also, or rather I'm going to also, show you the limitations of a data subject. I have the right to correct any false or misleading data, and I have the right to tell you, the organization, to delete my data, or to delete any false, or even to delete my data. But limitations, so you've realized nowadays when you apply for jobs, as much as you do not get that job, they usually have a certain checkbox that they tell you to tick if you want them to retain your data and reach out to you afterwards. So you see, it is okay. So I want you to look at it from 2 sides. It is your right to tick that box, which means you have given them consent to retain your CV, and your CV is your personal data because it has your email, it has your phone number, and it has details about you. Maybe it has your certifications, your academic certificates. So really your CV is your personal data. And please, 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 when you're applying for jobs, kindly leave out the referees part. because imagine the number of jobs you apply to and you're just broadcasting people's phone numbers out there. So kindly have a practice of leaving out the phone numbers, but because there's usually the other stage where now they ask you for referees. So when they ask you for referees, that's when you can provide, because again, you are broadcasting people's data, people's phone numbers, people's emails out there, which is not right. Another limitation is, you see, like when you go to the bank, you can't tell the bank, I want you to delete my data, but you still expect to bank with them. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. That is one limit. Like, there's only the much you can do, especially in certain situations. Even in for example, in a hospital, you can't tell them to do what? You can't tell them to you see those hospitals that require you to fill in your next of kin, or to anyway, there's just information. I'm trying to get which type of which information exactly that you can request the hospital to delete, and can be controversial, but it's not coming at the moment. But when it comes, I'll share. And then significance of data protection regulations. So one, it's compliance with laws and regulations. I think this is just to add up, or it will go hand in hand with what I have what I had shared earlier, and then to also build trust and reputation between the data subjects, data controllers and processors, and then safeguard critical information. I mean, you do not want to just go anywhere, or you're busy surfing and then you just see your medical history or your weight. For us ladies, no, we don't want to be seen as obese people, or we don't want to be seen the way we are struggling with weight. No. So safeguarding critical information, and then mitigating security risks such as data breaches, yes, and hacking. And then the last slide, careers in data protection. Okay, so this I am going to tell you of my journey, so that you don't get discouraged once maybe you want to get into data protection and things are not going as you desire. So I remember I started working in second year, but as an intern at a place called iLab Africa. It's at Strathmore University, and I was a scholar there. So what do I mean by a scholar? A scholar is a title given to you're not really an intern. Okay, it's a bougie or a classy intern. Yeah, let me just have it like that. So some of the things I would do, I would mobilize students to come for career talks that are related to cybersecurity. I remember I did a research and presented it during one symposium that was held at Strathmore. I also taught some of the classes in the ethical hacking course. So after that, I went to Safaricom. I was an intern there. Yes, in 2020, but for 3 months at the Security Operations Center. And then after that, I went to a certain organization in Westlands called iSolutions. I was a technical account manager. So we were deploying, or rather, we would get to hear clients, their business needs, and then get to advise which security solution best suits them. And then after that, so that was still cybersecurity related. Now from there, I went to Stanbic Bank, now as an application analyst. I didn't do cybersecurity then. And I remember I used to apply. I used to apply for jobs. I would go for interviews, but one mistake that I did is I would go for interviews unprepared. Yeah. I would not prepare. An interview is like an exam. You really have to prepare. You really have to give it your best. So I never used to, honestly speaking, I didn't give the interviews that I went to my best. That was in 2022. Yes, 2022. Yeah, 2021, 2022. Yes. I tried again. Used to go for interviews, never succeeded, but I never lost hope. And then after that, I went to another organization because my contract ended. So I went to another organization, and in that organization, I was an anti-money laundering engineer. You can see how far I'm just going further away from cybersecurity. So I stayed there for 9 months. I still used to apply for jobs in cybersecurity. Nothing was honestly coming up. But then now in last year, October is when now I got my current job. And it has been an exciting journey. What am I trying to tell you? As I tell you how to get into data protection, appreciate the process. You might not land a job instantly in data protection, but appreciate the process. Looking back, there's some things that I am applying in cybersecurity that I got from some experience that I got from Stanbic Bank. It can be people skills. It can be something that you once researched. It can be something that I once researched there and I'm now applying here. So yeah, even you, I don't know which field you're in. You might not be in an IT field. You might be in a business, maybe in a procurement field. You might be in an engineering field, something that is not related to data protection. But I want you to always remember, even as you wait to get into this field, just trust the process and appreciate the process, appreciate the season that you're in. And at the end of the day, these dots will always connect, but don't lose hope. I remember sometime, when you go to an interview and then the hiring panel or the one interviewing you will tell you, I will get back to you. Yeah, I remember there are days I would go to those organizations and then tell the guard, yes, I have an appointment with so and so, and it was a lie. Then I would be allowed to get in, and then I'd request the people at the reception to take me to so and so's office, and then I'd go ask that person, you told me you'd give me feedback by this date, but you've not yet given me feedback. And they'd tell me, no, we will give you feedback the following week. I'd wait the following week. If they don't talk to me, I give them one more week, and then I go back until one day I remember a certain guy was just telling me, Melody, you know what? We will just let you know. And then after a few days, I saw someone on LinkedIn. I am happy to share that I have gotten I'm happy to share, those LinkedIn notifications when someone gets a job. Yeah, then I saw this person had gotten that job. Yes, I definitely felt crushed because from the feedback, I was told, yes, you did well. You are we loved your personality, blah, blah, blah. But then now, why didn't you give me this job? But anyway, again, every interview that you do not excel, you pick the learnings from there. So, and always ask for feedback. Feedback like, what were you expecting me to answer? Or what was I to answer to make me get picked? Or questions like you ask the hiring manager, what would you term as your best employee? Such questions will help you pick whether you've passed or not. Yes, and then never take things personally. Try to separate because you can get hurt and crushed and lose hope. But just just keep on. Okay. So how to get into data protection? There are these sites. Let me stop sharing my screen so that I can. Okay. I want to type some sites for you. Okay, I don't think I can chat. Hope, kindly type for us. There's this site called Security, SECURITI. So Security have free courses for data protection. You can go and research. You can go and learn if you want to learn about data protection. Strathmore University, they also offer free courses on data protection. I think once a year or twice a year, I'm not sure, but you can go to their website and check when the openings, when they have openings. And then we also have certifying bodies such as PECB. PECB they have a course called Certified Data Protection Officer, CDPO. You can also, but for PCB you pay, and for ISACA, yes, for those two you'll have to pay for the certification. Yes. Yes. So, and then also when you get to study, you can, okay, another thing that I have, yes, John, just a minute. Another thing that,
Please come again on that name, security. You said SQ.
okay, SECU.
Okay.
You see, like just the normal security, but
Mhm.
instead of Y at the end, it's I.
All right.
Yes, yes. And then there is this site called Guru 99. So in Guru 99, the site is called Guru 99. There is a course on ethical hacking, which is free. They offer, by the way, they offer free things. So because I have realized it will be good. It is okay. It is not a must because data protection mainly deals with policies and strategies, yeah. But it will be good if you have a bit of cybersecurity. So Guru 99, they have a very good course on ethical hacking, and it is free. Yes, you can go read about it. And then there is also this site called Allison. So Allison, they also have courses for free. Yes, you can also go learn cybersecurity from Allison. And then once you have done the courses, there is this site called Meetups. So Meetups, meet like kukutana, and then apps ju. Yes, Meetup. So once you sign in, or once you're signing up, like creating an account, they will ask you to choose your areas of interest. So you can pick data protection, cybersecurity, it will be there. So now, when anytime someone posts an event in Meetups, an organizer posts an event in Meetups, and it's related to cybersecurity, you'll always get notifications. So you go for those meetings, attend those events. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You go, listen, get to network, get to understand people, get to understand how the market is or how the industry is from the people. You know, the speakers for those meetings are people who are already in that industry. So you go, listen, and they usually have free events. So on Saturdays, you go and listen. There's also this site called Eventbrite. Eventbrite, they also, organizers who have meetings, they also post there. So again, when you're creating your account, you'll be asked to pick your areas of interest. So pick cybersecurity. And anytime there'll be an event related to cybersecurity, you'll always be notified. Go for those events. You ask questions. Let me tell you, there's this saying, kuuliza si ujinga. You see, when you hear something that you're not sure of, you write it down and not the speaker. During those breakout sessions, or during those tea breaks or lunch breaks, go to that speaker. Tell that speaker, I have loved what you did, or what you said, but you said something and I have not understood. Trust me, that person will have you at the back of their mind. Because it's rare to get such people. You don't care. Don't care how people will see you. And also, one thing I've realized in my career, until where I am in career, never care about what other people are thinking about you, because they're even too busy with their own things to think about you. Like, people don't have time for you. So even if you want to ask a question, and you have a question during a session and they're like, who has a question? You ask that question of yours and don't start with, sorry for disturbing, or sorry. No, don't be apologetic. You be bold enough, ask that question, even if it might sound stupid to you, but you will leave an impression in someone and in someone's mind, and you never know, your next employer might just be there. So yes, so you go for those meetings. They will really, really help. And then, so I've told you about meetups. I've told you about Events I have told you about Allison, Strathmore, security. Oh, there's another one called IAPP. Yes. IAPP, it's a site. Jarvis just a bit. IAPP, it's also a site that offers data protection courses. So you can also, yes, you can also do what? You can also use that course to know about data protection. And before I also forget, you see, once you've done the data protection, just walk, even if it is to your church or to a restaurant or to a school, and tell them, let me do a data audit for you. Because part of, okay, when you're going through that course, there's something called data protection, DPI, data protection impact assessment. So you just go and tell them, because honestly, right now, data protection is something in the market. You saw how the amount of money, the fine that Naivas was given was charged the other day, and that school in Mombasa. So organizations really need to comply with the Data Protection Act. So don't be in a rush to get the money now. No. You build yourself, approach these circles, these small and medium enterprises, pole too, until you grow, until you reach a point, you're even the one doing data protection impact assessments for now these big brands. But always appreciate your small beginnings. Yes, I think that marks the end of my talk. Yes, I think the next 15 minutes, Hope, I don't know if you have something to say, or we can go to questions.
Thank you so much, Melody. That was really amazing. Thank you for going to data protection and giving us even the extra on places we can find or pursue certifications and such a view. So what I'd request is kindly send me the names to those sites, and then I can share, or any other resources that you've shared, then I can share to the participants via the WhatsApp group. I'd really appreciate that if you'd pass on those sites. And then I'm also opening the questions forum now. So anyone with a question, feel free to raise your hand before we go to conclusions. Okay, so I'll start with Ibrahim.
Thank you. Now I want to ask Melody. You've mentioned a batch of several courses or maybe several sites that you should partake. What's your take on maybe this view? Maybe, I don't know, maybe for the others, but maybe for maybe young, wondering how can I consume all this information, or maybe how do I partake all this? Should I just throw them away or stick to one, or how do you advise, instead of being maybe jack of all trades, or maybe just master one thing? Thank you.
Okay. So Ibrahim, one thing that I've also appreciated is, you see, if you don't know something, then you'll never know what to be a master at. For example, cybersecurity is very wide. Cybersecurity has penetration testing, vulnerabilities. I mean, it has so many things inside cybersecurity. But how will I be able to tell or to know what I love if I don't go through them? Not in depth, but have a feel of what they entail. So my advice to you is, there's no harm in you knowing what they entail, and then now sitting down to now pursue what you really want. And then you see also, when you attend these meetings, for example, cybersecurity, you'll find someone who is into penetration testing. they're going to tell you what their day-to-day is. Someone else, maybe one speaker who is in vulnerability management, is going to also tell you what their day-to-day entails. So now you'll be able to judge, this one looks interesting, this one does not look interesting, this one looks fun, this one does not excite me. So don't get tired of getting to understand, because it's only when you get to have a feel of some things is when now you can now know, I want to do this and I don't want to do that. So I'd advise you, just be patient, appreciate the time that you'll be learning, and I'm sure you'll look back and really appreciate. Yeah.
Thank you, and also thank you for the session. Quite informative. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ibrahim, and you're welcome.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Just to add on to what Melody said, we bring so many different people in the space into the meeting as mentors, as speakers. We want to expose you to as many career options in IT and cybersecurity as we can. So try to interact with all of them to an extent until you find where your passion lies. Okay, so Kiprut. Yeah, Kipruto, is it Jepto? Sorry, just go ahead.
So thank you so much, Melody. So I have two questions. One, you say that you didn't have any certificate in cybersecurity. I want to ask you, what was your strong point? Okay, so that you said that you have been called for many interviews and you went for them. I would like to know what was your strong point, maybe in your CV or anything. And then the other question is, you said you work at Safaricom M-Pesa. My question goes to the last, I think 2 weeks ago, you guys encrypted all the phone numbers for M-Pesa transactions. So what were you guys trying to achieve? Because it really messed our system. Thank you. I don't know if that is related though. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Jepto. So let me start with the first question. So the first question, I had certifications in cybersecurity. I did them when I was in campus. By the way, if you're in campus, you have a lot of time. Please utilize this time. Don't graduate with your degree only, with that certificate only. No. Do certifications. And the good thing is, as long as you have that student account, so many certifying bodies are willing to give you these certifications at very discounted rates, because they know, you have no source of income. So they're very lenient on students. So I started doing certifications in second year, which really boosted my CV and helped me. Your second question about Safaricom encrypting, I am not the best person to talk about it, but I'm sorry for the inconveniences caused, but I honestly don't know what happened then. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'll go to Ak. Ak had put his hand up before.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, Ak.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the chance. Just some network issues. Now, Melody, I have a burning question. I have a certification in cloud, and how proactive were you to get into the companies or the organizations to ask for a job? Is it that you waited for an application, for instance, for an internship, or you were more proactive enough to go and face them and ask them for an internship?
Okay, thank you for that. One, congratulations. Cloud is one of the hot topics in the market currently. I'd advise before you, because also, cloud is big. We have DevOps, we have security, we have architecture in cloud, cloud is really big. So before you also really narrow down the specific cloud track that you want. Also, is it AWS? Is it Azure? Is it GCP? I'd advise you, first of all, I hope all of you are in LinkedIn. Reason being is, okay, I would go to LinkedIn and search, let's say, cybersecurity, let's say manager, or just cybersecurity, and then some results are going to come, and then I'll just scroll through and send connection requests. Once I send the connection requests to people, those who accept, I start engaging them. I tell them I'm new to cybersecurity. I need advice on what to do. And then depending on the response, I would now narrow down to 2 mentors. Then now I'd go ahead and request for their phone numbers, and I would really pester them. I would tell them, let's meet twice a month, even if it's online, or virtually, or we meet somewhere. And I'd tell them, give me work to do. I do, and then I submit to them. So you see, with that, if these people get, because they say your network is your net worth. So you see, with that, when my mentors would get opportunities, they would always tell me, Melody, apply. Or Melody, my friend is asking for ABCD. Are you interested? And I'd go for interviews. But I have never gotten, the much your network can do is help you get an interview. Now from there is when now you have to fight for yourself. So yes, but I remember I once went to Communications Authority. I dropped my CV. They've never reached back today. I've also gone to other places. I've dropped my CV and they've never contacted me. Others contacted me, told me I'll start work on Monday. They'll send me the details, and they just went mute. They never sent me any details. I was crushed. But yeah, don't lose hope. I hope I've answered you, Ak, with my mini stories. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Samuel?
Yes, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melody, for that wonderful presentation. I've learned a lot about that protection.
Thank you.
I have just wanted to inquire, what are some of the laws that govern the Data Protection Act in our Constitution? And secondly, you have mentioned about doing data impact assessments. What happens when you do data impact assessments? Thank you so much. Those are my questions.
Okay, so thank you, Samuel. So one, I want to throw the challenge back to you. Go to the website for Office of the Data Protection, ODPO, and download the Act. They have very useful information there. And to add on that, there are certain laws and regulations that govern the different sectors. For example, and these are international laws. For example, if you go to the health sector, there's a regulation called HIPAA, HIPAA. It has some of the standards that should be followed when handling customers' data. When you go to banks or financial institutions, we have one called, is it PCI? If I'm not mistaken. Again, it governs, it's a regulation that governs how the payment cards. Yes. So there are quite a number, but it again depends on the sector that you're talking about or that you're interested in. And which reminds me, one, when you're also a data protection officer, you can also decide, do you want to focus on the health sector? Do you want to grow in the financial sector? Do you want to grow, what is this other thing that is slipping my mind? Data. Oh, AI. By the AI, there's this site. I'm going to share that site with Hope, and I want you to go and follow them on LinkedIn. I don't know, Hope, how you're going to get this to them, but they offer courses, because now everything is just AI. So different bodies have come together to give a standard on how this AI should also stick to data protection. So yes. Yes. I think it was Samuel. So Samuel, let's have posed a challenge to you. Go download the Data Protection Act. And yes.
Challenge accepted.
Okay, Samuel.
Okay. Just to add on to that, Cyber Shujaa does offer a data protection course at a fee. You can also check our website for that. You go through the data protection course physically for a week, and then you're certified at the end of it. So next, I'll go to Pauline.
Sorry, there is a question she missed about the data impact assessment.
Oh, okay. So the data impact assessment is just the data. It's the impact. Okay. So data impact assessment, it has several categories like the use, the reason for use of data, the DPIA, what does it have? Generally, this assessment, you use this assessment to measure the posture or how well an organization is in terms of how well they have applied data protection strategies. Because there's okay, in the DPIA we also have are they sharing information with third parties, and if so, are there contracts to who is accountable for what, who is the data controller, who is the data processor. So the data protection assessment, it's more, I don't want to call it an audit of how or the posture of that organization in how best and it also it's depending on how you look at it, it can also be not really a risk risk. I'll be misleading you if I use the word risk. But this data protection impact assessment, it measures the posture of the organization to with regard to how well they are with protecting the data. Yes, high level, Samuel, of what a DPIA is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pauline, and then it's already 8. So after Pauline, I'll just take the next 2. Then we can call it a night. Pauline, go ahead.
So, Melody, thank you for the session. It was nice. I just saw the tweet on Twitter and thought I could join and see what's happening. I'd like to ask Hope how I can join the WhatsApp group so I can be part of such events.
Okay, thank you for that question. So, Pauline, I'm assuming you're not a Cyber Shujaa student or alumni, are you? Hello?
No, I just saw the tweet.
Okay, that's also fine. So, unfortunately, I cannot add you to the WhatsApp group, but then I don't know if I can share my email. So let me think of a way I can share the slides to you, but I can't add you to the WhatsApp group.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Lawi?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank you, Madam Melody, for the interactive session and the wonderful session that you have taken us through. On my end, I would like to ask, I heard you mention something about pre-sale and cybersecurity. I would like to ask you to guide me how it works for the pre-sale in cybersecurity, because my end I'm trying to major in more on open source intelligence and cybersecurity products as a career form. So I would be proud to get to know how pre-sale usually functions when we come to cybersecurity. The second one is on the data protection in Kenya. How does the government regulate the data for it to be safeguarded from any threat or any company that seeks to exploit data, using it as a way of getting funds or earning using the data without the consent of individuals around. Those were my two questions.
Okay. So thank you, Larry. To start with, so the pre-sales is more of you as the technical person, or rather you as the resource who is to deploy those systems to the organization. The main role is you'll go to identify clients, get to understand their business needs, and then get to do presentations to them of the solutions that can work best for them. Yes, that is more of a pre-sales. And then you'll just hold their hand throughout the entire process. By holding their hand, I mean you will be there to deploy those solutions. After deploying the solutions, you'll be there to support in case of anything. In case the users of the system also need training, you might be required to also train the users. Yes, that is what entails pre-sales, high level. And then what the government is doing. So with the Data Protection Act, at least we can see some light because of the regulations that have been outlined in the Data Protection Act. So again, I'd want to pose a challenge to you. Go and download the Data Protection Act and just go through it, because that is what every organization in Kenya is using to ensure that they comply with the Data Protection Act. And that is where, when you don't comply, is when now you get to meet Mr. Fines or Mr. Breaches, or yes, name them. Yeah, so go and read about the Data Protection Act. It will really open your eyes on the far we've come and what we need to do to ensure that we keep safeguarding our data.
Thank you on that end. I've accepted the challenge. I will go and do further research. I would like to add one more question. How are industries taking, like, the young Kenyans who are coming up with solutions in the cybersecurity arena or cybersecurity products? How are the companies taking it? Like, how welcoming are the companies, the new individuals who are coming with products homemade here in Kenya?
Let me tell you, the market is very welcoming, but if you know your stuff. Because if you come up with a solution, it has to be a unique solution. You must solve a problem, because there is no need of reinventing the wheel. What do I mean? There is no need of you coming up with a solution that already exists. But you can, the Bible says there is no new thing under the sun, yeah? So whatever you're thinking of, someone somewhere might have a similar solution, but you add something else depending on a gap that you've seen. So trust me, if you come up with a solution that is going to solve a need that is really there, you're going to be welcomed with open arms. But also, I'd want you to go and also read about intellectual property. This has to do with you patenting or copyrighting your work so that someone else does not steal your work, because you don't want someone else earning from your hard work. Yes.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Lawi.
Okay, so like I said, we'll take Lawi as the last one. Pauline, are you still on the call? Pauline, I wanted to give you my...
Yes, I'm still in the call.
So unfortunately, I cannot see the chat feature or a way to chat this. So just you can note down the email is hope.nduta@cybershuja.co.ke.
Let me just type it. I'm sharing my screen. Hope.nduta.
Yeah, at cybershuja.co.ke. Yeah, thank you. So you can just
Thank
send
you.
yeah, hello, then I'll send the slides over. So thank you so much everyone for joining the call. Unfortunately or fortunately, that is the last question I shall take because of time. So thank you, Melody, for being our mentor this session, for taking us through data protection, telling us what it entails, what information security is, what is defined as personal data, going into the Data Protection Act and a DPO and also the DPIA. Then, yeah, simply telling us to put ourselves out there. I think that came out so clearly. And I hope it's something we're noting down with all our speakers. Their message is put yourself out there, learn the skills, go for these events, build the confidence. I mean, portray yourself as a brand. And as much as we are not saying money is not important. It's definitely is because it is what you eat. But when you start off, look for a way to build your skills, even if you're not necessarily getting paid as much as you want. So we're at the point of bora kazi until we get kazi bora. So, and hopefully we'll get there. So I hope you're also seeing the different spaces you can get into. Today's was data protection. We had software development last week, and I can go on and on with the number of speakers we've had. So thank you so much, Melody, for gracing us with your presence and the words of wisdom. Yes, and the insight you've given us into this particular area of data protection.
You're welcome. Thank you also for staying till the end and for considering me. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. For those who've not gotten a chance to ask their questions, feel free. You can inbox me and I'll be more than glad and willing to respond to your questions. So yes, thank you, Hope, and your team as well.
Okay, so thank you so much, Melody. I hope we've all had that. Those who want to reach out, feel free to reach out. I'll leave with a quote from all the events and all the insight Melody has given us, a really common one, but let's think on it. So luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Stay prepared. You never know where your opportunity is. Okay,
yeah.
So thank you and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Good
A
night.
quick one before you leave.
Okay.
Yeah, I would kindly request. I would love to hear from a person who deals with server management and such, like who deals with the security side of servers or a data center.
Okay.
Yeah, just a humble request.
Data centers. Okay, we also have a suggestion form. I think I should send that over so that you can suggest maybe topics you guys want to be talked about and speakers you may want us to invite. So I'll also share that next week. But I've noted that. Thank you. Okay.
How
Good
can
night,
we reach
everyone.
the speaker?
Pardon?
How can we reach the speaker? Is there an email or?
You can. Are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, I
They
am.
should be. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You can send me a message, Melody Malusi, and then we'll connect and proceed from there. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Kevin. Okay, people, have a lovely night.
Have a lovely night. Let us release you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Good night.
Lovely night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, Melody. My apologies.
Hi.
I know the meeting is off, but I just had one burning question, if it's okay with you, that is.
Yeah, it's okay.
Number one, when organizations hire you, of course, they do know about your skill set and capabilities. For you personally, I'd like to know, because these organizations, of course, bring you in to help secure their clients. This means you're exposed to a lot of data, both corporate and private. What are some of those temptations you get, or some of those itches that come with the job and exposure to these critical information, and how do you manage it? And still with regards to those urges, what are some of the mitigations that organizations such as your employer put against you as the employee in the case you decide to go rogue while still under their umbrella? Thank you.
Okay, so the first bit, I'd say confidently that not all organizations that I've gone to have met. I met the checklist that they were doing, but one thing I can tell you for sure: confidence and the right attitude is going to put you out there. You see, like when someone asks you about cooking mukimo, yeah. Maybe you don't know how to cook mukimo, but when someone asks you, do you know how to cook mukimo? And you'll be like, no. And then you stop it at that. And it's an interview. Do you know how to cook mukimo? No. And you stop it at that. But then another person, when they're asked the same thing, do you know how to cook mukimo? They're like, I really don't know how to cook mukimo, but given a chance, I'm sure that is not going to be a big deal because I have cooked other dishes before. You see, you've given this, you've shown this person that as much as you do not know, you are willing to. So even in interviews, don't be limited. Use speak as much as you can. Show this person you are willing to learn, you are willing to put yourself out there. You see, in your free time, also do things that when you go to an interview, you tell them, like for instance, this is not my background, but I was able to do ABCD. My personal initiative, I've been able to do ABCD. That person would be like, you're teachable, you have a teachable spirit, because we honestly need people we can teach out here. And then number two, what organizations are doing to safeguard. I'll give you an example. I remember I once worked in a hospital, and I worked in they call it CCC, CCC department. It mostly deals with patients who are HIV positive. Now, the stigma that is there with patients who are HIV positive. So I used to access data for these patients. People I knew, which came as a shock, definitely, and some I didn't know. But I always reminded myself that these are human beings who have emotions, who have feelings, who wouldn't want their stuff to be out there. So as much as I knew so-and-so had something, I would still treat them as normal beings, the way we used to interact before. I never even one day told my mother, hiya, mom, so-and-so. Till date, I still have them. I still have that information. It's very confidential. So one thing is when you're in a position to know about people's data, sensitive data about people, don't be too quick to expose them. And then what most organizations are doing is, for example, I'm using my work laptop. So this work laptop, it has features such as you cannot insert a USB, because it might contain virus and then leak information. Another thing is there's something called multi-factor authentication when accessing to systems. So instead of you just having your username and password when accessing to systems, you have another layer of security, like you're given a code, you're sent a code to your phone to input. So you see, at no point will
Three-way
you...
authentication.
Pardon? Isaac, you're saying something? Okay, so at no point will
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So at no point will you really say, it's not me who did ABCD, because okay, fine, someone might know your username and password, but what about the code that we sent to your phone? You're the only one who has your phone. So such things. And then when this laptop gets stolen, for example, right now, the data is going to be wiped. You cannot access anything that is here in case the laptop is stolen. So such things are such measures have been put in place to safeguard the information by employers. Another thing is classified data. So when you're sending an email, is it a C1? C1 is public, C2 might be internal, C3 might be sensitive, C4 might be confidential. So you see, like for a C4, before you open it, you have to have a password because it is the highest level of confidentiality. So those are some of the things that organizations are doing to protect their employees and also to protect their data. Yeah, I hope I've answered you, sir.
Yeah, very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ian, I can see your hand is up, and then we call it a night. Ian Kimosop. Ian. No.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
My question was already answered. I forgot to.
Oh.
Yeah, it was concerning the same question as Pauline concerning how we can get the slides for this particular meeting. Considering I'm not part of the group, I entered as a guest. Kindly.
Oh, it's okay. Kindly text me on LinkedIn. I'm going to share them with you because also here I can't see the chat option.
Thank you very much. I'll highly appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So anyone else with another question? Yes, Lawi.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Lawi.
Getting certified at when
Your voice is very faint. Come again.
When we certifications.
I didn't get you.
Okay, let me repeat.
Yeah,
When we come to certifications, I heard you saying that you started your certifications at the level that you are second year. When we come now to industries in Kenya, we have different ways of determining your employees, the way you are going to employ them. Which certifications are more considered here in Kenya for the IT people, mostly here in Kenya? Which one are more considered as legitimate, because there are so many certifying bodies all across the realm for cybersecurity, for IT, and others. And in Kenya, can you go with a certification from a certain certifying body without having to have gone to a higher education level and yet secure a job? Is it possible?
Okay, so your first one is which certifications in IT? I think it depends with what you are specializing in. For example, if it's networks, then Cisco, they have a certification. They have certifications, or rather, they do have certifications. One called CCNA, routing and switching. You can do that. If you want cybersecurity, we have AC Council. We have, but again, cybersecurity is wide, so you have to again identify your niche. Like what do you really want, or what do you really, yes, which direction do you want to take? So I think that depends. That depends on your field or your liking. But you see, when you attend this, by the way, what helped me was these events. I would go to every event as long as I am free on weekend or even a school day. I would go and just listen, because these people are going to open your eyes. because they know what is currently needed in the market. So you see, if someone has been in the industry for 10 years and then they talk to you for like 2 hours or even 30 minutes, you know that information you don't have gotten it somewhere else. And you'll be imagine listening to someone who has been in the industry for 10 years. They're going to tell you so many things that are going to open your eyes. So you attend those meetings, get to also know the certifications that these people did. When you get a chance, go to them, ask them which certification they did, what mistakes did they do in the early stages of their career. People are willing to tell you, by the way. Ask them what would they advise a young person who wants to join the industry. Ask them anything, and people are very willing to help. So yes, that's what I'd advise. You had asked another question. What was it about? Lavi.
Yes, I was asking still on certifications. Which certificate are most considered legitimate here in Kenya? Because, you know, in Kenya, we cannot say like the way we usually say globally. Once you have certain certifications, they are accepted in the organizations and stuff. So in Kenya, from your point of view, from part of data protection and cybersecurity, which certificates you know that when a person has, they will be considered even if that person did not go for higher education, but has managed to gain those certificates, can be considered for employment?
Okay, so one, as I have said, it depends on your niche, because like for cybersecurity, EC Council, they have good certifications. They have a good certification for ethical hacking. But you see someone who is looking for a network engineer, they'd want someone who's done CCNA from Cisco. You see, so it depends. And Microsoft hire, and it's very true, they hire people who've not gone to school, or rather who do not have a degree, but you have the right certifications. I'm not saying you drop out of school. No, don't get me wrong. School is good. It also exposes you. But if you've not been privileged to go to school, but you have certifications, don't limit yourself. Don't at all. And don't see yourself less of a person because you do not have certifications. There are still organizations, we still have organizations that will accept you and that will hire you based on your skills. Yeah.
Thank you. That was it.
Sorry. Yes, Lavi.
I was thanking you for that. It is encouraging. So now at least we know where to start, where to head, what to look for. Thank you.
Yes. And one last thing, I'm a firm believer of God. And one thing I always tell myself, and I want you to also challenge yourself with, even if people say there are no jobs, don't own it. Don't tell yourself there are no jobs. It's fine, yes, there are no jobs, yes, but every morning wake up with a positive attitude that we have jobs and apply for those jobs and be hopeful. Because you see, the moment you tell yourself there are no jobs, you won't even bother upskilling yourself. You won't even bother meeting people who are in the industry. You won't even bother applying for jobs. You'll just be there. But if you tell yourselves, despite this economic hard times or what, I know I will get a job, I know I will get something to do, you go for it. But never own it. Kenya hakuna kazi, mimi sitapata kazi. Never do that. And don't let it be your story or your narrative. Yeah. Anyone else with another question, or no, I can also end the call? Anyone with a question? No, okay, I can see no hand up, so I can rightfully end the call. So thank you for also those who've stayed till this almost 8:30. Thank you. So allow me to end the call. Again, you can reach me on LinkedIn through my handle is Melody Malusi. Yes, feel free, let's connect. And I am more than willing to help you grow. Have a good night, everyone.